In the verdant expanse of the planet Lanthe, a species known as the Lura thrived in harmony with their environment. The Lura, beings of graceful stature and profound wisdom, had never known the horrors of war. Their civilization, built upon principles of peace and coexistence, had flourished for millennia. Yet, this harmonious way of life was shattered when the Void Warriors descended upon them. The Void Warriors, an alien force of nightmarish efficiency and brutality, sought to conquer and exploit the Lura's rich resources. Their arrival was swift and merciless. The skies above Lanthe were obscured with the shadows of their massive warships, and the land trembled under the assault of their relentless onslaught. The Lura, despite their advanced knowledge of their world, were ill-prepared for such violence. Their attempts at diplomacy were met with cold indifference, their pleas for peace drowned out by the thunderous roar of the Void Warriors' weapons. Villages were razed, sacred groves burned, and countless Lura were captured or killed. As the situation grew increasingly dire, the Lura's Council of Elders convened in a desperate bid to save their people. It was decided that an SOS signal would be sent out into the cosmos, a last hope for salvation. With heavy hearts, the Elders activated the ancient beacon, sending their call for help into the vast, uncaring void of space. The signal, a beacon of hope amidst the darkness, traveled far and wide. But as days turned into weeks, the Lura began to lose optimism. The Void Warriors' grip tightened, and the end seemed inevitable. Just as despair threatened to engulf them, a glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon. Unbeknownst to the Lura, their signal had been intercepted. Help was on its way, but would it arrive in time to save them? In the cold, unending vastness of space, the human expeditionary fleet, under the command of Admiral Elias Bailey, cruised silently. The fleet, comprised of state-of-the-art warships and experienced personnel, was on a mission of exploration and diplomacy. Little did they know, their path was about to take a dramatic turn. "Admiral, we've intercepted a distress signal," reported Lieutenant Carter, his voice breaking the stillness of the command bridge. "It's from a species identifying themselves as the Lura. They're under attack and urgently requesting assistance." Admiral Bailey, a seasoned officer known for his strategic acumen and compassion, leaned forward, his eyes narrowing as he examined the data. The signal was weak, but the message was clear and urgent. The Lura were in dire need. "Set a course for the source of the signal," Bailey commanded without hesitation. "Prepare the fleet for possible combat. We don't know what we're heading into, but we must be ready for anything." The fleet adjusted its trajectory, engines flaring as the ships surged toward Lanthe. As they approached the planet, the humans were met with a scene of devastation. The lush landscapes were marred by craters and burning forests, the skies filled with the smoke of battle. "Deploy all fighters," Bailey ordered. "We need to provide immediate support to the Lura and push back the attackers." Fighter jets launched from the human warships, diving into the fray with precision and ferocity. The Void Warriors, taken aback by the sudden reinforcement, struggled to regroup. The human pilots, leveraging their advanced technology and training, quickly began to turn the tide. On the ground, the Lura watched in awe and hope as the human forces engaged the enemy. For the first time since the invasion began, they felt a glimmer of hope. Among them, Elder Thalan, leader of the Lura Council, gazed skyward, a prayer of gratitude on his lips. As the battle raged on, Admiral Bailey coordinated the efforts from the bridge of his flagship, the ISS Valor. The combined might of the human fleet and the resilient Lura began to push the Void Warriors back, inch by hard-fought inch. Despite the initial success, Bailey knew the battle was far from over. The Void Warriors were a formidable foe, and their forces were vast. The true test of their alliance was yet to come. "Admiral, enemy reinforcements are on the way," Lieutenant Carter reported, his voice tense. "We're detecting a massive fleet heading towards us." Bailey's jaw tightened. "Prepare for the next wave. We must hold the line until the Lura can evacuate their noncombatants. We cannot let them fall." As the human and Lura forces braced for the impending assault, a sense of determination filled the air. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they had something their enemy lacked: unity and the will to fight for their survival. The Void Warrior ships loomed on the horizon, their engines a menacing hum. The stage was set for an epic confrontation, one that would test the limits of their courage and resolve. Would the human and Lura alliance be enough to withstand the overwhelming might of the Void Warriors' next assault? The alien warships descended upon Lyanth like a swarm of locusts, their dark hulls reflecting the flames of destruction below. Admiral Bailey stood resolute on the bridge of the ISS Valor, his eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the advancing enemy fleet. "All units, prepare for engagement," Bailey commanded, his voice calm and authoritative. "We must hold the line. Remember, we're fighting for more than just survival, we're fighting for a future where peace and cooperation prevail." As the humans readied their defenses, the Lura, inspired by the humans' arrival and determination, mobilized their forces. Despite their peaceful nature, they had resolved to defend their home with every ounce of their strength. Elder Thalan and the other leaders coordinated the Lura's efforts, using their intimate knowledge of the land to devise strategies that would complement the humans' technological prowess. On the ground, Lura warriors prepared their energy bows and natural camouflage, using the dense forests and rugged terrain to their advantage. Meanwhile, human ground troops set up advanced artillery and force fields, creating fortified positions around key Lura settlements. In the midst of the preparations, a sense of camaraderie began to form between the two species. Human soldiers shared their rations and equipment with their Lura counterparts, teaching them basic combat tactics, while the Lura offered insights into the planet's geography and natural defenses. Captain Rena Hayes, leader of the human ground forces, found herself working closely with Lura warrior Jalen. Together, they formulated a plan to ambush the advancing Void Warrior ground troops. "If we can lure them into the ravine," Jalen suggested, his eyes gleaming with determination, "we can collapse the cliffs on them. Our people know the caves and tunnels well, we can use them to our advantage." Hayes nodded, impressed by Jalen's strategic thinking. "It's a solid plan. We'll need to coordinate our artillery strikes to coincide with your ambush." As they finalized their plans, the first wave of Void Warriors began to land. The ground shook as their massive landing craft touched down, disgorging ranks of heavily armored soldiers. The battle commenced with a ferocity that took even the seasoned human troops by surprise. Explosions lit up the night as human artillery targeted the landing zones. Lura archers, hidden in the treetops, rained energy arrows on the invaders, their shots guided by years of hunting experience. The Void Warriors, relentless and well-armed, pressed forward, their sheer numbers threatening to overwhelm the defenders. Captain Hayes and Jalen's ambush proved critical. As the Void Warriors advanced into the ravine, human artillery pounded the cliffs, sending tons of rock crashing down. The Lura, using their agility and knowledge of the terrain, struck from the shadows, disorienting the enemy. Despite the initial success, the Void Warriors adapted quickly. Their commanders, recognizing the threat posed by the humans and Lura working together, adjusted their tactics. Elite units, equipped with advanced scanners and heavy weaponry, began to target key positions, pushing the defenders to their limits. Back on the ISS Valor, Admiral Bailey monitored the battle with growing concern. "We need to disrupt their command structure," he said, turning to his tactical officer. "If we can take out their flagship, it might buy us the time we need." A bold plan took shape: a daring assault on the Void Warrior flagship, a massive dreadnought bristling with weapons. Bailey selected a team of his best pilots and soldiers, preparing them for a high-risk mission. "Lieutenant Carter," Bailey said, "you'll lead the assault. Your objective is to disable their command and control systems. If we can blind them, we can turn the tide." As Carter and his team launched towards the enemy flagship, the battle below intensified. The human and Lura forces fought with ferocity, their alliance tested by the relentless onslaught. Every inch of ground was contested fiercely, and casualties mounted on both sides. In the skies, Carter's strike team weaved through a storm of enemy fire, their ships battered but undeterred. They managed to breach the dreadnought's defenses, boarding the vessel in a bid to reach its command center. Inside the flagship, the battle took on a new dimension. Close-quarters combat erupted in the dimly lit corridors, with humans and Lura fighting side by side against the Void Warriors. The stakes couldn't be higher, the outcome of this mission could determine the fate of the entire planet. Carter, leading the charge, fought his way to the control room. With precision and teamwork, they overcame the last of the defenders and planted explosive charges on the critical systems. "Admiral Bailey, the charges are set," Carter reported. We're extracting now. As the strike team made their escape, the explosives detonated, crippling the Void Warrior flagship. The enemy fleet, suddenly deprived of its central command, faltered. This was the moment Bailey had been waiting for. All units, press the attack. He ordered. This is our chance to drive them back. Renewed with hope and determination, the human and Lura forces launched a coordinated counteroffensive. The Void Warriors, disoriented and leaderless, began to retreat under the relentless assault. As the enemy fleet falls back, a massive Void Warrior dreadnought enters the battlefield, dwarfing all other ships. Can the human-Lura alliance withstand this new threat, or will this colossal ship spell their doom? The massive Void Warrior dreadnought loomed ominously over the battlefield, its sheer size and firepower dwarfing all other ships. Admiral Bailey stared at the holographic display on the ISS Valor, recognizing the immense threat this new enemy posed. All hands, brace for impact, Bailey commanded. This is going to be a tough fight, but we can't back down now. We must hold the line. The dreadnought's main cannon charged, a bright glow emanating from its barrel. Within moments, a beam of destructive energy lanced out, slicing through one of the human cruisers like it was paper. The explosion rocked the fleet, but the remaining ships quickly repositioned, forming a defensive formation around the ISS Valor. Admiral, our shields won't hold against many more hits like that, Lieutenant Carter warned. Bailey nodded grimly. We need to disable that cannon. Focus all fire on their weapon systems. And get me a direct line to the Lura Council. On the planet's surface, the Lura and human ground forces continued their fierce defense against the Void Warrior troops. Elder Thalan, standing in a fortified command post, received Bailey's message. Elder Thalan, we need your help to disable the enemy's dreadnought. Bailey's voice crackled through the comm. Do you have any means to disrupt their systems from the ground? Thalan thought quickly. We have an ancient technology, a resonance device that can interfere with electronic systems. It's risky, but it might work. Do it, Bailey urged. We'll coordinate our attack with your interference. As Thalan prepared the device, the human fleet intensified their assault on the dreadnought. Fighters and bombers weaved through enemy fire, targeting the dreadnought's weapon emplacements and shield generators. The Void Warriors fought back fiercely, their own fighters swarming the human ships in a desperate attempt to protect their flagship. Captain Hayes and Jalen, leading their combined forces on the ground, faced increasing pressure as more Void Warrior reinforcements landed. The defenders, though weary and battered, fought with unmatched tenacity, their determination fueled by the knowledge that the battle in the skies would decide their fate. Captain Hayes, the resonance device is ready, Thalan reported. We'll activate it on your signal. Hayes relayed the message to Admiral Bailey, who prepared for the coordinated strike. All units, prepare for synchronized attack. On my mark, we hit them with everything we've got. The resonance device, hidden deep within a cave system, began to hum with energy as Thalan's team activated it. The ground beneath Lanth trembled, and a powerful pulse radiated outwards, targeting the Void Warrior dreadnought. Now! Bailey ordered. The human fleet unleashed a barrage of missiles and energy beams, focusing their fire on the dreadnought's main cannon and shield generators. Simultaneously, the resonance pulse reached the dreadnought, causing its systems to flicker and malfunction. On the dreadnought's bridge, chaos erupted as control panels sparked and screens went dark. The Void Warrior commander barked orders, trying to regain control, but the disruption was too severe. Taking advantage of the momentary confusion, Carter's strike team, still aboard the dreadnought, made their move. They fought their way to the engine room, planting charges on critical systems. The corridors echoed with the sounds of battle, the clash of weapons and shouts of determination. Charges set, Carter confirmed, his voice steady despite the danger. We're getting out. As the strike team evacuated, the charges detonated, causing massive explosions that crippled the dreadnought's engines. The colossal ship began to list, its power fading. Direct hit. The dreadnought's engines are down. Carter reported. Good work, Bailey replied. Now, let's finish this. With the dreadnought crippled, the human and Lura forces launched a final, all-out assault. The remaining Void Warrior ships, seeing their flagship disabled, began to retreat. The skies above Lanthe cleared as the enemy fleet fled, leaving behind wreckage and defeated troops. On the ground, the Void Warrior soldiers, now without support, were quickly overwhelmed. The combined human and Lura forces captured or neutralized the remaining invaders, securing their hard-fought victory. Cheers erupted from both human and Lura fighters, their joy and relief palpable. The battle had been won, but at a great cost. As the smoke cleared, the true extent of the devastation became apparent. Admiral Bailey stood on the bridge of the ISS Valor, his gaze shifting from the retreating enemy ships to the planet below. "We did it," he said quietly, a mix of pride and sorrow in his voice. "We held the line." Elder Thalen's voice came through the calm. "Admiral Bailey, words cannot express our gratitude. You and your people have saved us. But we must now turn our efforts to healing and rebuilding." Bailey nodded. "We'll be with you every step of the way, Elder Thalan. Together, we'll rebuild what was lost." Amidst the celebrations, an unexpected message is received from the rehabilitated Void Warrior. "There is something you need to know about our true mission here," it begins. "What secrets do the Void Warriors still hold, and how will this revelation impact the fragile peace?" Amidst the celebrations and the bittersweet joy of victory, the humans and Lura turn their attention to the wounded and the fallen. Field hospitals were set up, and both species worked tirelessly to care for their injured comrades. In the midst of this, a message came from the medical bay where the captured Void Warrior was being treated. Admiral Bailey, accompanied by Elder Thalan, made his way to the med bay. The room was a hub of activity, with doctors and nurses tending to patients. In one corner, under heavy guard, lay the rehabilitated Void Warrior, now stable and conscious. "Admiral, Elder," the chief medical officer greeted them. "Our patient has something important to tell us." The Void Warrior, a formidable figure even in its weakened state, looked up as they approached. Its eyes, once filled with rage and defiance, now held a glimmer of something else, perhaps regret, perhaps fear. "There is something you need to know about our true mission here," the Void Warrior began, its voice raspy but clear. "We were not merely conquerors seeking resources. We were driven by a much darker force." Bailey and Thalan exchanged glances, their curiosity piqued. "Explain," Bailey urged. The Void Warrior took a deep breath. "Our leaders are controlled by a parasitic entity, a collective consciousness that feeds on conflict and suffering. It drove us to attack your world to harvest your fear and pain. But there are those among us who resist, who seek to break free from its control." Elder Thalen's eyes widened in shock. "A parasitic entity? This changes everything. If what you say is true, then your people are as much victims as we are." The Void Warrior nodded. "Yes. That is why I chose to speak now, while I am still free from its influence. I can feel its pull even now, trying to regain control. You must act quickly. There is a hidden relay station on the moon of Varis. It amplifies the entity's control over my people. Destroy it, and you may have a chance to free us all." Bailey considered this information carefully. This could explain their relentless aggression and why they seemed almost driven by an unseen force. "We need to verify this and act accordingly. If we can disable this relay station, we might not only secure our peace but also liberate the Void Warriors from this control." Thalan nodded in agreement. "We must act swiftly and decisively. Admiral, we will provide whatever support you need for this mission." As preparations for the mission began, a sense of urgency gripped both human and Lura forces. They had won a significant battle, but the war was far from over. The possibility of liberating an entire species from the clutches of a malevolent entity provided a powerful motivation. Lieutenant Carter was once again chosen to lead the strike team, this time with Jalen at his side. Their bond, forged in the heat of battle, had grown strong, and they both knew the stakes of this mission. "Carter, Jalen," Bailey addressed them, "your mission is to infiltrate the relay station on Varis and disable it. This will be a high-risk operation, but it's our best chance to turn the tide permanently in our favor. Remember, you're not just fighting for us, you're fighting for them too." The strike team launched from the ISS Valor under the cover of darkness, their ships darting through the void towards Varis. The moon loomed ahead, a barren, rocky landscape that hid the insidious relay station. As they approached, the team encountered heavy resistance. Automated defense turrets and patrol drones made their descent treacherous. But with expert piloting and precise coordination, they managed to land near the station's perimeter. "Stay sharp," Carter whispered, scanning the horizon. "This place will be heavily guarded." They advanced cautiously, using the rocky terrain for cover. The relay station was a massive structure, its surface bristling with antennas and communication arrays. The presence of Void Warrior guards confirmed the importance of their target. Jalen, using his natural agility and stealth, scouted ahead, identifying key weak points in the station's defenses. "There," he pointed out, "those power conduits control the main systems. If we can plant charges there, we can disable the entire station." Carter nodded. "Let's move. We'll cover you." The team split into two groups, with Jalen and a small squad heading to the power conduits while Carter and the rest provided cover. The Void Warrior guards, though vigilant, were no match for the combined expertise of the human Lura team. One by one, they neutralized the guards, clearing the way for Jalen. Jalen reached the conduits and quickly set the charges. "Charges set," he reported. "We have 3 minutes to get clear." The team regrouped and made their way back to the extraction point, fighting off waves of reinforcements as they went. The tension was palpable, every second stretching into an eternity. Finally, as the last member boarded the extraction craft, the charges detonated. The explosion rocked the moon, sending a shockwave through the relay station. The antennas and arrays collapsed in a cascade of destruction, severing the parasitic entity's control over the Void Warrior fleet. Back on Lanth, Admiral Bailey and Elder Thalan watched as the Void Warrior ships began to falter, their movements erratic and uncoordinated. A cheer erupted from the combined forces as the enemy fleet, now leaderless and confused, began to retreat. "We did it," Thalan said, his voice filled with awe and relief. "We've broken their hold." Bailey smiled, a weight lifting from his shoulders. "This victory is more than just a battle won. It's a chance for true peace." As the Void Warriors retreat, a lone transmission is received from the heart of their fleet. "This is not over," the message warns. "The entity will seek vengeance. Prepare yourselves. What new danger looms on the horizon, and how will the Human Lura Alliance respond?" The victorious cheers on Lanth were abruptly silenced by the chilling transmission from the Void Warrior fleet. Admiral Bailey and Elder Thalan listened intently as the message repeated, "This is not over. The entity will seek vengeance. Prepare yourselves." Bailey turned to his officers, his expression grim but resolute. "We cannot afford to rest on our laurels. The enemy might be retreating, but they are far from defeated. We need to bolster our defenses and prepare for their inevitable return." Elder Thalan nodded, his own determination mirrored in Bailey's eyes. "We must also continue to foster the unity between our people. It is this alliance that will be our greatest strength in the face of the coming storm." Admiral Bailey called for an emergency council meeting with the key leaders of both the human fleet and the Lura. The atmosphere in the command center was tense, but filled with a shared sense of purpose. "Admiral Bailey," began Captain Rena Hayes, "our reconnaissance teams have confirmed that the enemy fleet is regrouping in a distant star system. We estimate they could launch a counterattack within the next few days." Bailey considered the information. "We need to fortify our positions and prepare for a full-scale assault. Lieutenant Carter, I want you to oversee the integration of our defense systems with the Lura's knowledge of the terrain. We need to create a network of fortifications that will maximize our combined strengths." Carter nodded. "Understood, Admiral. We'll make sure every strategic point is covered." Elder Thalan spoke next. "Our warriors will continue to stand alongside your troops. Additionally, we have ancient defensive mechanisms, long dormant, that can be reactivated. These will enhance our ability to repel the invaders." "Excellent," Bailey said. "Every advantage counts. Let's make sure those systems are operational as soon as possible." As the leaders dispersed to oversee their respective preparations, Bailey took a moment to speak privately with Elder Thalan. "I've been thinking about the Void Warrior we captured. Do you believe there's a chance more of them could be freed from the entity's control?" Thalan's expression was thoughtful. "It is possible. The parasitic entity's hold is strong, but as we've seen, it can be broken. If we could find a way to reach more of them, we might be able to turn some of the Void Warriors to our side. Bailey nodded. It's a risky gamble, but one worth considering. For now, let's focus on preparing for the worst. In the days that followed, the human and Lura forces worked tirelessly to fortify their defenses. Trenches were dug, barriers erected, and energy shields deployed. The ancient Lura defensive mechanisms, great stone constructs imbued with protective energy, were reactivated, their glow a symbol of hope and resilience. Admiral Bailey walked among the troops, his presence a source of inspiration and reassurance. He took the time to speak with both human and Lura soldiers, his words of encouragement bolstering their spirits. Despite the looming threat, a sense of unity and shared purpose permeated the ranks. On the eve of the expected attack, Bailey convened one last strategy meeting. The mood was serious, but the leaders were ready. "We've done all we can to prepare," Bailey said. "Now, we must trust in our strategy and each other. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves, but for a future where all our species can coexist in peace." The ground shook as the first wave of the Void Warrior counterattack began. The night sky was illuminated by the flashes of energy weapons and explosions. The enemy came in force, their numbers even greater than before, driven by the malevolent will of the parasitic entity. Human fighters launched into the fray, engaging the Void Warrior ships in a fierce aerial battle. On the ground, Lura warriors, hidden in the forests and fortified positions, launched surprise attacks, using their knowledge of the terrain to their advantage. The ancient defensive mechanisms unleashed powerful energy blasts, decimating enemy ranks. Amidst the chaos, Admiral Bailey and Elder Thalan coordinated their forces, their leadership crucial in maintaining the integrity of the defense. Bailey's tactical acumen and Thalan's intimate understanding of the land created a synergy that kept the enemy at bay. In the thick of the battle, Captain Hayes and Jalen led a daring counteroffensive. Their mission was to penetrate the enemy lines and strike at the heart of the Void Warrior command. Fighting through waves of soldiers, they reached their target, a massive command crawler that directed the enemy ground forces. "Cover me!" Jalen shouted, as he set charges around the crawler. Hayes and her team laid down suppressive fire, holding off the Void Warriors until Jalen completed his task. Charges set. Jalen confirmed. "Fall back." They retreated just as the charges exploded, sending the command crawler up in a ball of flame. The enemy ground forces, suddenly disoriented and leaderless, began to falter. Bailey, seeing the opening, ordered a full-scale push. "All units, advance." Press the attack while they're disorganized. The combined forces surged forward, their resolve unshaken. The Void Warriors, despite their numbers and ferocity, could not withstand the coordinated assault. Inch by inch, the defenders reclaimed their land, driving the invaders back. As dawn broke, the remnants of the Void Warrior fleet began to retreat, their will to fight broken. The human and Lura forces stood victorious once more, their unity and determination prevailing against the odds. Elder Thalan stood beside Admiral Bailey, both leaders exhausted but triumphant. "We've done it," Thalan said, his voice filled with relief. "We've driven them back." Bailey nodded, though his expression remained cautious. "This battle is won, but the war isn't over. We need to stay vigilant. The entity behind the Void Warriors won't give up so easily." In the aftermath of the battle, a Lura scout reports a disturbing discovery: a hidden chamber beneath the ruins of the enemy's command post, filled with ancient and ominous artifacts. Could these artifacts hold the key to defeating the entity, or do they represent a new, even greater threat? The aftermath of the battle left both human and Lura forces weary yet resolute. As they worked to secure the area and tend to the wounded, a Lura scout approached Admiral Bailey and Elder Thalan with urgent news. "Admiral, Elder," the scout began, his face pale with worry, "we've discovered a hidden chamber beneath the ruins of the enemy's command post. It's filled with artifacts, and they emanate a dark, powerful energy." Bailey and Thalan exchanged a glance, understanding the potential significance of this find. "Show us," Bailey ordered, and they followed the scout through the devastated battlefield to the hidden chamber. The entrance was concealed beneath rubble and debris, but the scout had cleared a path. Inside, the chamber was dimly lit by the eerie glow of the artifacts. Strange symbols adorned the walls, and the air was thick with a palpable sense of malevolence. These artifacts, Delan murmured, examining them closely, they must be linked to the parasitic entity controlling the Void Warriors. If we can understand their nature, we might find a way to sever the entity's influence permanently. Bailey nodded. We need our best scientists and scholars on this immediately. This could be the key to ending the war. As the experts began their analysis, the atmosphere grew tense. The artifacts pulsed with dark energy, and several of the researchers reported feeling a cold, creeping dread just being near them. Despite the danger, the team pressed on, driven by the hope of uncovering a way to defeat the entity. Meanwhile, on the surface, the human and Lura forces continued to strengthen their defenses, knowing that another assault could come at any moment. Captain Hayes and Jalen, now regarded as heroes, worked tirelessly to prepare their troops for the final confrontation. As the days passed, the researchers made a breakthrough. Dr. Alara Kim, a leading human xenologist, presented their findings to Bailey and Delan. These artifacts, she explained, are conduits for the entity's power. They amplify its control over the Void Warriors, binding them to its will. If we can disrupt the energy flow within these artifacts, we might be able to weaken the entity enough to break its hold on the Void Warriors. Delan nodded thoughtfully. But how do we disrupt the energy flow? Dr. Kim smiled, her eyes shining with determination. We've devised a counterfrequency that should destabilize the artifacts. It will be dangerous, but if we can deploy it simultaneously across all the artifacts, it should work. Then let's do it, Bailey said firmly. We'll coordinate the deployment and protect the researchers. This is our best shot at ending this once and for all. Preparations were quickly made. The human and Lura forces were divided into teams, each tasked with protecting a group of researchers as they deployed the counter-frequency devices. The enemy, sensing the activity, began to stir, and it wasn't long before the Void Warriors launched their final, desperate assault. The ground shook with the thunder of battle as the Void Warriors, driven by the parasitic entity's fury, threw everything they had at the defenders. Human and Lura soldiers fought side by side, their resolve unbreakable. Amidst the chaos, the teams made their way to the designated artifact sites. Captain Hayes and Jalen led one of the key teams, their bond and leadership guiding their soldiers through the fiercest fighting. As they reached the first artifact, Dr. Kim began to set up the counter-frequency device. We need to hold them off until this is fully operational, she shouted over the din of battle. Hayes and Jalen took positions, their weapons blazing as they repelled wave after wave of Void Warriors. The enemy fought with a ferocity born of desperation, but the defenders held their ground. One by one, the teams reported in. Device in position, came the calls over the comms. Ready to activate on your mark. Bailey, coordinating the effort from the ISS Valor, gave the final order. Activate the devices. Now! A hum of energy filled the air as the counter-frequency devices powered up. The artifacts began to glow brighter, their energy fluctuating wildly. The ground trembled, and a scream of rage and pain echoed across the battlefield as the parasitic entity's power was disrupted. The Void Warriors, their connection to the entity severed, faltered. Confusion and fear replaced their mindless aggression. Many dropped their weapons, surrendering or fleeing in disarray. On the ISS Valor, Admiral Bailey watched as the enemy forces crumbled. We've done it, he breathed, a wave of relief washing over him. We've broken their hold. Elder Delan, standing beside him, smiled. This victory is ours, Admiral. Thanks to our unity and determination, we've secured a future for both our peoples. But even as they celebrated, a new transmission crackled to life on the comms. It was the Void Warrior they had rehabilitated, his voice urgent. The entity is not dead, he warned. It has retreated to its core, deep within the void. It will regroup, and it will return. We have won this battle, but the war is far from over. Bailey's expression hardened. Then we will be ready. We will strengthen our alliance and prepare for whatever comes next. Together, we will face any challenge. Deep in the void, a shadow stirs. The entity, though weakened, begins to rebuild its power. A new, more dangerous foe emerges, one that could threaten the entire galaxy. How will the Human-Lura Alliance face this new threat, and what sacrifices will be required to secure lasting peace? The echoes of battle had barely faded when the human and Lura forces turned their attention to the monumental task of rebuilding. The victory over the Void Warriors had been hard-won, and the scars of the conflict were visible across Liantha's once pristine landscapes. Amidst the ruins, a new spirit of cooperation and unity began to blossom. Admiral Bailey and Elder Thalan stood on a hill overlooking a devastated village, their expressions a mixture of solemn reflection and determined resolve. "We have much to do," Bailey said quietly. "But we will rebuild stronger and more united than before." Thalan nodded. "Our people will rise from these ashes. With your help, Admiral, we will heal and create a new future together." Human engineers and Lura builders worked side by side, restoring homes, schools, and infrastructure. Advanced human technology combined with the Lura's deep understanding of their environment made for an efficient and harmonious reconstruction process. The once scarred landscapes began to heal, and the spirits of both peoples lifted as signs of renewal emerged. A ceremony was planned to honor those who had fallen and to celebrate the newfound alliance. It was to be a day of remembrance and gratitude, a symbol of the resilience and hope that had brought them through the darkest times. On the day of the ceremony, a large crowd gathered in the central square of the rebuilt capital city. Representatives from both species stood together, their presence a testament to their shared struggle and triumph. The ceremony began with a moment of silence, a collective breath held in memory of those who had given their lives for the cause. Elder Thalan stepped forward, his voice resonating through the square. "Today, we honor the bravery and sacrifice of our warriors. We remember the pain and loss, but we also celebrate the unity that has emerged from our shared adversity. We are no longer just Lura or humans, we are one people, bound by a common purpose." Admiral Bailey followed, his words carrying the weight of his experiences and his vision for the future. "In our darkest hours, we found strength in each other. We fought not just for survival, but for the hope of a better future. Today, we lay the foundations for that future. Together, we will build a world where peace and cooperation prevail." As the ceremony continued, a series of joint initiatives were announced. These included the establishment of shared educational institutions, research centers, and defense alliances. One of the most significant projects was the construction of a new space station, a symbol of their collective commitment to exploring and safeguarding the galaxy. Captain Hayes and Jalen, now celebrated heroes, were appointed to lead the first mission from the new space station. Their task was to scout the far reaches of the galaxy for any remnants of the parasitic entity and to seek out new allies who might join their cause. As they prepared for their mission, Hayes reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. "We've come so far," she said to Jalen. "But the road ahead is still uncertain." Jalen nodded, his eyes filled with determination. "Whatever challenges we face, we'll meet them together. We've proven that our strength lies in our unity." As the first shuttle launched from the new space station, the crowd below cheered, their voices filled with hope and anticipation. The future stretched out before them, a vast and uncharted territory ripe with possibilities. In the weeks that followed, the Human and Lura Alliance continued to strengthen. Joint training exercises, cultural exchanges, and collaborative projects fostered a deep bond between the two species. The lessons learned from their shared struggle were etched into their collective consciousness, a reminder of what they could achieve together. However, amidst the celebrations and rebuilding, a sense of vigilance remained. The message from the rehabilitated Void Warrior was never far from their minds. The entity had retreated, but it was not defeated. Plans were laid to continue monitoring the Void for any signs of its return, and defenses were bolstered in preparation for any future threats. As the Alliance flourishes, a mysterious signal is detected from deep within the Void. It's unlike anything they've encountered before, pulsing with an unknown energy. What new challenges and mysteries does this signal represent, and how will the Human-Lura Alliance respond to this enigmatic call? The mysterious signal detected from deep within the Void sent ripples of curiosity and concern throughout the Human-Lura Alliance. Scientists and engineers from both species worked tirelessly to decode the signal, their efforts driven by equal parts intrigue and caution. The signal was unlike anything they had encountered before, pulsing with an enigmatic energy that defied conventional analysis. In the newly constructed research center on Lanth, Dr. Alara Kim and her Lura counterpart, Scholar Vela, led the team tasked with deciphering the signal. Their work was meticulous and challenging, but after days of intense effort, they finally made a breakthrough. Admiral Bailey, Elder Thalan, Dr. Kim began during a hastily called meeting. We've managed to decode part of the signal. It appears to be a distress call from a previously unknown species, one that might also be under the influence of the parasitic entity. Elder Thalan's eyes widened. Another species? If they're under the entity's control, they could be in great danger. Bailey nodded, his expression serious. We need to investigate. If there are others out there suffering as we did, it's our duty to help them. This could also be an opportunity to learn more about the entity and find a way to defeat it once and for all. Captain Hayes and Jalen were immediately recalled from their scouting mission to lead the expedition. Their shuttle, now equipped with the latest in both human and Lura technology, was prepared for the journey into the unknown regions of the void. Are you ready for another adventure? Hayes asked Jalen as they boarded the shuttle. Jalen grinned, his eyes shining with determination. Always. Let's find out who sent that signal and how we can help them. The journey through the void was long and perilous, with the shuttle navigating through treacherous asteroid fields and nebulous clouds that shimmered with mysterious energy. As they approached the source of the signal, the tension aboard the shuttle was palpable. Finally, they emerged into a sector of space dominated by a massive, ancient structure, an enormous space station that appeared to be centuries old. The signal was emanating from within. This place looks abandoned, Hayes said, scanning the structure with the shuttle's sensors. But the signal is still strong. Let's proceed with caution. They docked the shuttle and carefully made their way into the station. The interior was dimly lit and eerily silent, the air thick with an ancient, oppressive presence. As they explored, they found evidence of a fierce battle, scorched walls, broken machinery, and the remnants of a once advanced civilization. In the central chamber, they discovered the source of the signal, a group of aliens, unlike any they had seen before, huddled around a makeshift transmitter. The aliens, though wary at first, welcomed the humans and Lura with a mixture of relief and hope. We received your signal, Hayes began, using a universal translator. We're here to help. Who are you, and what happened here? The leader of the alien group, a tall being with shimmering, iridescent skin, stepped forward. We are the Alari, he said, his voice resonant and melodic. Our civilization was vast and peaceful, much like yours, before the entity came. It enslaved our minds and turned us against each other. We fought back, but we were not strong enough. Jalen looked around the chamber, his heart heavy with empathy. We've faced the entity too. We know how it twists and corrupts. But we found a way to fight back, and we can help you do the same. The Alari leader's eyes filled with hope. If you can help us break free, we will join your alliance. Together, we can stand against the entity and any other threats that arise. Back on Lanth, the news of the Alari's plight and the promise of a new ally galvanized the human and Lura forces. Plans were quickly made to send a larger expedition to the Alari homeworld, with the goal of liberating their people and bringing them into the fold of the Alliance. As the joint expedition prepared to depart, Admiral Bailey addressed the gathered troops and scientists. Today, we embark on a mission not just of exploration, but of liberation and unity. The entity's darkness has spread far, but so can our light. Together, we will bring hope to those who need it most. The expedition, consisting of advanced warships, medical teams, and diplomatic envoys, set off with high spirits and a renewed sense of purpose. The journey to the Alari homeworld was challenging, but the determination of the human and Lura alliance never wavered. Upon arrival, they found a world ravaged by conflict, with the Alari resistance struggling to hold back the entity's forces. The combined might of the human and Lura fleet, however, quickly turned the tide. Using the knowledge they had gained from their own battles, they deployed counter-frequency devices and strategic assaults to disrupt the entity's control. The liberation of the Alari was a fierce and arduous process, but one marked by incredible acts of bravery and compassion. In the final decisive battle, the entity's hold was shattered, and the Alari were freed. Celebrations erupted across the Alari homeworld as the last of the entity's forces were driven away. The Alari, now free, pledged their allegiance to the Human and Lura alliance, vowing to stand together against any future threats. As the expedition returned to Lyanth, the alliance now stronger than ever, Admiral Bailey and Elder Thelan reflected on their journey. "We have faced unimaginable darkness," Thelan said, "but we have also found incredible light. Our alliance is a beacon of hope for the galaxy." Bailey nodded. "We've proven that through unity and determination, we can overcome any challenge. The future is uncertain, but as long as we stand together, we can face whatever comes." As the Alliance celebrates its new strength and unity, a message arrives from the depths of space. It's a warning from an ancient, advanced civilization about an even greater threat on the horizon, a threat that could challenge everything they've fought for. How will the Alliance prepare for this new danger, and what sacrifices will be required to protect their hard-won peace? The alliance between the humans, Lura, and Alari thrived in the wake of their shared victory over the parasitic entity. Their combined knowledge and resources led to rapid advancements in technology, medicine, and interstellar travel. A sense of optimism permeated their societies as they looked toward a future of peace and cooperation. However, amidst the celebrations and the sense of newfound security, a message arrived that would once again test the resolve of the alliance. It came from the depths of space, from a civilization long thought to be lost to history, the Ancients. The message was cryptic but urgent, its language complex and laden with warnings. It spoke of a looming threat, a force of unimaginable power that had once ravaged entire galaxies. The Ancients, in their final act, had imprisoned this force within a cosmic rift, but the seal was weakening. If the rift were to open, the unleashed force could spell doom for all life in the galaxy. Admiral Bailey, Elder Thelan, and the Alari leader, known as Seraphis, convened an emergency council to decipher the message and plan their next steps. "The message is clear," Seraphis said, his voice resonating with concern. "We must find a way to reinforce or reseal the cosmic rift before it's too late." Dr. Alara Kim, who had become one of the leading experts on ancient technologies, presented her findings. The Ancients left behind a series of beacons, scattered across the galaxy. Each beacon contains part of the knowledge and technology needed to strengthen the seal. "We need to locate these beacons and activate them." Bailey nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. "This will be our most challenging mission yet. We'll need to divide our forces and cover as much ground as possible. This threat is beyond anything we've faced, but we have the advantage of unity and determination." The council quickly agreed on a plan of action. Teams from all three species would be formed, each tasked with locating and activating one of the Ancients' beacons. These teams would consist of the best and brightest from their respective worlds, combining their strengths to overcome the unknown challenges ahead. Captain Hayes and Jalen were chosen to lead one of the key expeditions. Their bond, forged in the fires of previous battles, made them the ideal candidates for this critical mission. They were tasked with locating a beacon rumored to be hidden within a treacherous nebula, its exact location shrouded in mystery. "Are you ready for another adventure?" Hayes asked Jalen as they prepared to depart. Jalen smiled, his eyes filled with determination. "Always. Let's go save the galaxy." As the various teams set out on their journeys, the Alliance prepared for the possibility of the worst. Defensive measures were strengthened, and contingency plans were laid out. The threat of the cosmic rift and the unknown force within it weighed heavily on everyone's minds, but they faced it with the same resolve that had brought them through their previous trials. Weeks turned into months as the teams navigated through uncharted space, facing dangers and uncovering ancient secrets. Each beacon they located brought them closer to understanding the Ancients' technology and the means to reinforce the seal on the cosmic rift. Captain Hayes and Jalen's team, after many harrowing encounters, finally reached their destination. The nebula, filled with turbulent energy and hidden dangers, proved to be a formidable obstacle. But with perseverance and teamwork, they located the beacon deep within a hidden cavern on a desolate moon. Activating the beacon was no simple task. It required precise synchronization and the combined efforts of human ingenuity and Lura wisdom. As they worked, the beacon began to hum with a powerful, ancient energy, its light cutting through the darkness of the nebula. "We did it," Hayes said, her voice filled with a mixture of relief and triumph. "One down, and several more to go." Across the galaxy, other teams reported similar successes. Each activated beacon sent a pulse of energy toward the cosmic rift, slowly strengthening the seal. The Alliance's efforts were paying off, but the final beacon remained the most elusive and crucial. Back on Lanth, Admiral Bailey, Elda Delan, and Seraphis monitored the progress, their hope growing with each successful activation. But the warning from the Ancients still loomed large, a reminder of the gravity of their mission. As the final beacon is located and preparations are made for its activation, a sudden and powerful energy surge emanates from the cosmic rift. It's a sign that the force within is stirring, and time is running out. Can the Alliance activate the final beacon in time, or will they face an ancient horror that could destroy everything they've fought to protect? The story ends with a message of hope and unity, emphasizing that no matter the challenge, the combined strength and determination of diverse allies can overcome even the greatest of threats. The final scene hints at the Alliance's readiness to face whatever comes next, standing together as a beacon of hope for the galaxy.